focus must be. So I do not expect any challenges beyond that, because what is out there is political propaganda. If you look at the lengths that the state has gone to try and stop my candidature, if you look at the resources deployed, including diplomats and the ambassador, etc., intimidation of institutions, revoking and revoking, etc., then you know that there's something there. And I think nothing of that source will stand the test of time.
Are you saying that those who are backing this fight for your contestation for the position of governor are behind your competitor?
Yes.
What do you say about that? You have an opportunity to respond.
Our worthy competitors have pitched themselves as victims, and their entire platform is victimhood. That they are victims of the weather, they are victims of the law, they are victims of what they call the system. But facts are facts, and the truth is the truth. I have said I really would love to meet Senator SAKAJA.
I think out of abundance
I would like to meet Senator SAKAJA on the ballot. Because on the ballot, so that we can beat him, and so that the people who are the last line of defense when all other institutions fail prove to him that they know better, that wajinga waliisha Kenya na waliisha Nairobi. If any other institutions fail, the people should never fail on the ballot.
Naam, muda umekwisha. Senator SAKAJA, je, uamuzi wako kuingia kinyang'anyironi, ama niweke hivi, uamuzi wa kuingia kinyang'anyironi ulikuwa wako binafsi au ulikuwa wa chama na kiongozi wa chama?
Nimefurahi kwanza tumemaliza hicho kipindi kwa sababu I'm able to prove and to show that I have the qualifications, and that is going on. I'm looking forward to it. And I know millions of Nairobians everywhere I've gone to tell me every day that they're praying, and because they can see that big hand of the state, and we shall be vindicated in due course. When there's time after this, I'm available to speak to that. Of course, my intention to run for governor of Nairobi has been my intention. I've grown up in this city. I was born in Ngara. I've seen this city when it had some semblance of a working city, and I've also seen the lack of dignity and order in our people. The lack of dignity when Mama Mwende in Kayole had to watch her daughter die at Mama Lucy because of an ambulance. I've seen that, and I've committed myself to lead the charge of providing order and dignity in the city. So it was my decision, it is my decision, and beyond that, it is a resolve of the millions of Nairobians to rescue this city from state capture.
Your decision, you say, but it is on a ticket UDA under Kenya Kwanza.
Yes.
If you are elected as governor, how much of a burden will the patrons of your particular alliance have or be to your leadership as governor?
I think I've distinguished myself over the years as an objective leader, as a leader who stands his ground, as a leader who stands on principle. Many times, even before what my competitors and their colleagues thrive on, they like talking about the handshake, I've demonstrated what we call siasa safi. When the Honorable Prime Minister, former Prime Minister's retirement benefits were being rejected in Parliament because his now partner and brother said he must retire from politics, I'm the only person from Jubilee who stood up to defend. When Honorable Oloch was being fought at Pan-Africa by Jubilee members on the 26th of October, I'm the one who defended him. When Babu Owino was thrown into a cell and Raila Odinga and Wetangula could not remove him, I went, despite there not being any agreement before the handshake. I believe in siasa safi. I believe politics is not enmity. And I want to assure even my opponent that once we get into office, some of the ideas he has, because he's a good manager, and this city also needs, in some areas you need managers, of course, led by a leader with a vision. We'll incorporate the ideas. Everybody sitting on that side knows that I have no negative relationship with them, and that is the siasa safi Nairobians want. And that is why all your polls show that Nairobians across the political divide have resolved to support me for the office of governor.
Bwana Polycarp, je, ni kwamba Azimio mnaendesha siasa chafu katika kaunti ya Nairobi?
Kwanza wacha tuangalie siasa safi ni nini. Mwaka uliopita taifa la Kenya, the amount of money, pesa ambazo walituma kwa serikali gatuzi kutoka kwa serikali ya kitaifa was 370 billion shillings. 370 billion, Nairobi ilipata 19 billion. 5% only ndio ilikuja Nairobi. Nairobi, wapiga kura Nairobi ni 11% ya tuko 2.4 million out of 2.4 million voters out of 22 million voters in the country. Now, Nairobi contributes 2.2 trillion wame collect Kenya Revenue Authority. 60% ya hiyo 2.2 trillion imetoka kwa viwanda na wafanyi biashara hapa Nairobi. How does somebody contribute 60% of revenue and you only share 5% back? Na hiyo siasa safi ndio seneta wetu amefanya katika Senate. Kazi ya seneta ni kutuombea pesa. Ametuombea tu 5%. Alienda huko kufanya kazi ya county zingine. Hapa ndio sababu Nairobi hamna mashule. Tuna nasari pengine 211. Tuko na health centers kidogo sana, da dispensary. Na ndipo njaa na umaskini umekithiri hapa kwa sababu watu hawajui Nairobi is unaffected and a very poor country. A very poor county. That is not siasa safi.
Bwana SAKAJA ameuliza umetetea vipi county ya Nairobi ulipokuwa seneta katika kipindi hiki cha takriban miaka 5. Je, kweli umewajibika kama seneta wa county ya Nairobi?
Zaidi. Na zaidi ya wote wengine ambao walichaguliwa kama maseneta. Ukiangalia utafiti ambao umefanywa kwa miaka 3 ambayo imepita, for the last 3 years running, I've been rated the best performing senator in the Republic of Kenya. I brought more bills, more motions, more questions about the county administration of Nairobi than any other senator, and you can check. I can see you have laptops. You can check that. On top of that, the work of the senator is to bring resources to the county. When I became senator for Nairobi, Nairobi was receiving 15 billion. I'm living with it 3.3 billion higher at 19 billion. That is actually understanding your assignment and prosecuting it the way you need to. So I brought that money. In fact, naturally, it would take more than 10-15 years in terms of cycles of devolution to get to an increase of 3.3 billion.
Something IGATHE says isn't quite enough, even though you've gotten it to 19 billion. Something he says isn't enough, given the contribution of the capital to the rest of the nation.
Now, if you understand the framework of devolution under our constitution, fiscal decentralization has what we call the horizontal division of revenue. In that horizontal division of revenue, you have a county allocation of revenue bill, where you divide the amount that is given amongst the counties. So of course there is a ceiling of what has been given to all counties. What I have fought for is the fair share for Nairobi City County, which remains to be the highest, and over and above what any other county gets.
IGATHE, you have a response on that?
I don't know how much is enough.
What Senator ensured persisted in this country is a philosophy that is unsustainable. That you take from people according to their needs and give to others according to their ability and give to others according to their need. Nairobi is a very needy county. And the criticism I'm proffering here and submitting to him is that as senator, what did you do to help Nairobi overcome the hunger, the deprivation, the desperation in the informal settlements? Did you bring that matter to Senate? Did you make people understand that case? Instead, what we saw, he was a leader of a group called Team Kenya that even removed incentives for county to generate their own revenue. We used to get 1% extra if you generate your own source revenue. Like Nairobi is only generating 9, this is going to do about 9 billion of its own revenue. So the county, the CRA, Commission for Revenue Allocation, was giving us brownie points as a county if you collect your own revenue and you don't rely on the national government. And these are some of the things he did not protect as our senator. So how does somebody fail or does not succeed in their task and then you give him the job of governor?
Na ulifeli katika kutetea na kulinda rasilimali za kaunti ya Nairobi, na ukiwa seneta kwa takriban miaka 5 ambao umekuwa katika uongozi, umeweka mikakati gani kudhibiti na kuimarisha ukusanyaji wa mapato katika kaunti ya Nairobi ambayo yameonekana kudidimia?
19 billion from 15 billion is success. It's an improvement. In fact, if I succumbed to the sloganeering that my worthy competitor is talking about, which in fact his argument is the best case to show that education does not necessarily equate to intelligence. Because if I bring a box and tell you this is 1 man 1 shilling and it's 1,000 bob to you, and inside it's 500 shillings, would you accept it? What they're offering Nairobi Polycarp was 134 million shillings more. I refused with my team Kenya. I said Nairobi has the depth of poverty, that urban poverty bites harder than rural poverty, that you have nothing in this city, you'll have nothing to eat, you'll have nowhere to stay. And I refused that 135 million shillings and got 3.35 billion shillings for the people of Nairobi. If I was just to fall for the empty slogan, Nairobi would still be at 15.8 billion shillings today. So I'm very proud, and I'm proud of all my members, because not only did I secure that for Nairobi, I showed this country that there is no Kenya A and Kenya B. There's no second-class county in a first-class country. And I stand my ground that we must be patriotic. Even as we're in Nairobi, we have people from all across the country. On top of that, I can list you the bills. I brought the startup bill. I brought the prompt payment bill. I brought the National Disaster Management Authority bill in the Senate. I have fought for Uber drivers, Taxify and all digital hailing apps. I have spoken about the demolitions and even stopped demolitions that are going further. I have done a lot. In fact, if you gave me maybe an hour or so to just list the things I have done in the Senate, and I hope the next Senate of Nairobi will be able to fill in those big shoes,
for that response,
because
it
is work that we've done.
Let's push on with that aspect then on. You talk about not having enough funds allocated to Nairobi given its place in the nation. However, there is the issue of not being able to actually get the potential revenue that it can get owing to the cartels in the city, which have been a thorn in the flesh of the administration. But it can be argued also fostered by the leadership. What will you do to get rid or deal with the cartels? IGATHE, you have a minute and a half.
Thank you very much for that question. Nairobi collects, for sure, way above 200 million shillings every day. But what ends up in Nairobi coffers is around and about roughly 40 million a day. So over 160 million shillings is lost every day. That's the fact. We've had a senator whose work is also oversight. And Senator SAKAJA, you had a chance to be seen in this country oversighting the county of Nairobi. When push came to shove and the impeachment question came to the floor of Senate, it's up to Kenyans to see how you voted. Not only did you did not even take a decision, you abstained. You walked away from the conversation. We have not seen you. Nairobi County employees, in fact, we have to apologize to them. They do unbelievable. Their salaries are delayed. Their remittances are delayed. The Auditor General's report about Nairobi City County is that Nairobi City County's has a debt of over 80 billion now. That is what it has been given an adverse opinion. But have we ever heard once our senator speak about it? And that's why I'm saying the oversight role he did not do very well. And he actually did not succeed in that oversight role. But the cartels we will deal with, because we have the numbers and we know who they are, and you have seen them even in the campaign season, trying to fight and hide behind
muda wako umekwisha. Bwana SAKAJA, una muda wa dakika moja unusu kujibu.
I'm actually quite tickled that Polycarp Igathe can talk about push coming to shove and me not making a decision. Before even push came to shove, in like 4 or 5 months, Polycarp Igathe quit on the people of Nairobi. In fact, that should have come in the question of integrity. Because when you talk about public trust, chapter 6, at the expense of private convenience, that is the question that we must answer.
It did come up before you arrived.
The question on impeachment. Governor Sonko would not be facing an impeachment if you stuck in office. In fact, if you stuck in office, you probably would have been the incumbent governor. If you stuck in office, there'd be no NMS in Nairobi. The reason we have an NMS in Nairobi is after Polycarp Igathe could not wait or stand the heat in the kitchen, he ran away in less than 6 months. This city needs resilience. You need to be tough. You cannot say that you have betrayed 800 and I think, how many votes did you guys get? 40 or something thousand votes, 840,000 votes, because you could not get the trust of one individual, yet 1 million Nairobians have given you the public trust. When push has come to shove, look at the Senate answered. I have spoken more times than any senator. I have raised more questions in the Senate than any other senator. In fact, I have taken the former Governor Sonko to court on the action he took on matatus. The record is clear. This county needs a political manager who understands how to deal with the leaders and how to deal with the issues of the people, but has a thick skin. In fact, if half of the tribulations I'm facing right now in my bid were on Polycarp, Azimio would have no candidate. But I have stood.
Your time is out. You've stood. You ran off.
He'd have quit.
Integrity, I define integrity as what you do in private. If it ever became public, you'll never be ashamed. I'll tell you what is not integrity. Is uttering false documents and then standing here and saying I have integrity. Go to the website of the East African, of EACC. Go to the website of IBC. Check the university governors, SAKAJA, Senator SAKAJA. No, let me go. Go and check what Senator SAKAJA cited as his degree in 2017. It's a public document. And then look at the degree he's saying it is today. We don't even know who he is. Is your name really SAKAJA? Nairobi, careful, all of us careful. We can no longer entertain charlatans in positions of high national responsibility. And charlatan is not an insult. It's people of questionable integrity. It's people and individuals who come to steal from you wholesale to distribute retail to their friends. And I submit to you, the man to my left will do exactly that. Careful.
I think the man to my right did exactly that by running away from the mandate given to him by Nairobians. Actually, the entire mess we have in this city. Because when he ran away from office, and I think he said somewhere because he got a bigger salary somewhere, I don't know. This city went into a spiral. I assure you, even the drafting of the articles of transfer, I had to be involved because we had to rescue Nairobians. And he ran away from that public office. Now, if you cannot withstand the heat of a deputy governor, you can't run Nairobi City County. You have 85 MCAs, possibly 40 nominated, 125 MCAs. You have 17 constituencies. If just one Mike Sonko made you run, tomorrow matatus will strike. The next day, hawkers will be on the street. The next day, and you're trying to run this county by being popular, it will not work. Again, as I've said, it is really unfortunate that the only card they had was to try and stop me from being on the ballot. I want to tell you, to wake up, smell the coffee. On the 9th of August, I'll be on the ballot for governor of Nairobi City County, and on the 25th, we shall be sworn in. Because Nairobians can see through the game. And the documents he's talking about, for instance, in fact, they're part, and I don't want to wade into subject this, but they're forged documents. They actually forged documents in court by them. They have tried to...
Lakini huwezi kuthibitisha hilo, sio?
Of course I can, because the signature there is not my signature.
Lakini sisi kwa sababu hatuna hizo stakabadhi, hatutakuruhusu kuzitumia.
Tuachie hapo, lakini wacha nijieleze, naona dakika zinaenda. Utanipa nafasi nzuri nijieleze. Mimi nimehitimu na nimesoma na nimesimamia watu wa Nairobi.
Jina lako ni SAKAJA?
Not just in fair weather.
SAKAJA ni jina lako halisi?
Nafikiri mlialika SAKAJA. Jina lako ni Zubeida.
Niko hapa kuuliza maswali, uko hapa kujibu, naomba.
Ukiuliza swali ambao kama watu wa Nairobi wanasema itoshi.
Mwenzako amekuuliza swali. Kwa sababu uko hapa kujibu, ndio sababu tunakupa nafasi kujibu. Jina lako ni SAKAJA.
Out to the issues Nairobians are facing instead of trivializing this debate as to what my name is, honestly. My name is Arthur Johnson SAKAJA. I'm the senator of Nairobi and the incoming governor, God willing, on the 9th of August.
Asante kwa kujibu.
And I want us to talk about water. Let's talk about the poverty our people are facing. Let's talk about sorting out mobility and transport. Let's talk about sorting out our children in school. Let's talk about the issues of the people. And the rest of the games being played by the state and our opponents can then have their way. Because Kenyans have seen. In fact, I want to give you full reassurance. Just yesterday, a few of the government administration officers have called me saying that they're being coerced into supporting the candidature of my opponent, and they have refused. Chiefs have refused.
Well, DCs
have refused.
We can't quite verify that. That's
I can verify
your
that,
word.
You should also be able to verify the questions he has. I have 16 seconds.
That's your word on that. But he said, and you didn't quite respond directly to it.
To what
At the moment, I'm quite clear, Senator SAKAJA.
Thanks, Mark.
At the moment of reckoning, when there was questions over the leadership of former governor, the moment of impeachment,
Let me explain how
you
Senate
walked
works.
away.
Let me explain how Senate works. It's my question.
Sure, go ahead.
When you go to the Senate, I've seen one of the candidates here. There are 3 buttons to press when you have to vote. You either press yes, you press no, or you press abstain. For you to run away from the vote in the Senate, you actually walk out, you don't press any. Meaning to abstain is actually a vote, and it's a statement that you make. The tradition, because Parliament is ruled by the standing orders, by traditions and by precedents, and the past jurisprudence that has been set in the Senate. When a matter comes regarding your county, you're supposed to prosecute your position on the floor and then let others make the decision. Because if you vote yes to impeach a governor, of course it shows your conflict of interest. Because you want also to be governor. Then it shows that you're putting a man down. And let me tell you, Kenyans have grace. No matter the ills of Governor Mike Sonko or whoever else would have been there, you never kick a man when he's down. So when you press yes, you've displayed your conflict of interest. If you press no, it means that you're actually abetting and agreeing with what he has done. And so the tradition from 2013, when an impeachment has been brought to the Senate, is the Senate of that area actually abstains on that vote. I'd have had the luxury of walking out and not being there for that vote. It's a decision I would take again if it came to me. And I'm proud of the decision I made.
You had a point to raise on that earlier.
I want to come in and say, yeah, it's true. Don't kick a man when he's down, but I have a better statement. Don't kick a dead dog.
I don't understand why you'd call the former governor a dog.
No, it's not the former governor. It's you I'm talking about.
Lakini naomba IGATHE.
I don't want to kick you. That's why I'm asking.
IGATHE,
and you had me.
Naomba,
you had me earlier.
Naomba unisikize dakika moja, sekunde moja. Tafadhali tusitumie lugha ya matusi wakati wa kudhalilishana katika mjadala.
Wacha niseme hivi. Let me say this. Not kicking a dead dog is actually an English phrase, it's not an insult. It's to say, don't go for somebody when he's down. And I already said, I want to meet him on the ballot. I want to meet my competitor. I want to meet my competitor. I truly want to meet my competitor on the ballot. But I want to remind him that uttering a false document is one of the laws in this country that does not. It is one of the things in this country that you're not fined for. You are taken straight if you are found guilty. And that is for the investigative capacity. We didn't come to do that here. All I'm telling Kenyans... That is an allegation. Can I finish? What the Constitution wants is a competent governor, a capable governor, a governor with a character. Ask yourselves, who amongst two of us can you trust?
It also wants a governor who will stay in office for 5 years.
All right. You said earlier you know who the cartels are. Enumerate them, put them on notice on how you're going to deal with this. Earlier when you were talking about the cartels.
The cartels of Nairobi have persisted for 4 decades.
Who are they? You said you know.
It is a clique of people who have choked the city, and especially the biggest symptom of cartel behavior is in the situation with garbage collection in the city of Nairobi, the situation with pending bills, the situation with suppliers in the city of the county of Nairobi. We need to look at suppliers in the city, in the county city of Nairobi, and ask ourselves, who are they? Do they meet the threshold of our public procurement laws, procedures, and regulation? And I want to ask Kenyans to read Auditor General Nancy Gathungu's reports to really see what I'm talking about. Errors and omissions, the statement of assets and liabilities of Nairobi City County, the statement of cash flow, the statement of appropriation, recurrent budget, and development budget. When you read that statement, she's actually saying, these numbers don't reflect the fair data of proper financial practices, proper HR practices. And that is where you see the name of the cartels. And only a president who is running on an anti-corruption platform like Raila Odinga can tackle this issue. And people who have been stood up to scrutiny. I have always been an employee. I've always been audited. I have never taken a shilling that does not belong to me apart from my salary.
Na kabla tuvuke kwake, ulikuwa naibu gavana katika kaunti ya Nairobi kwa takriban miezi 6. Katika muda huo ulijukumika vipi katika kuwakabili hawa cartels? Hawa walaghai, hawa watu ambao
walaghai tulionana nao kwa sababu for the time when I was a governor, Nairobi City County moved its revenues from the 12 million we used to find to 100 million levels, 120 million a day.
You're never a governor.
When I was deputy governor, I was in the governor's office. Thank you. For that period when I was a deputy governor, that is what was going on. And we started to pay salaries on the 25th of every month. There was also remission of all statutory deductions. When I was there, I started the titling program for Nairobi to give title deeds into Nairobi. That process has taken 5 years, is now being completed as we speak. When I was there, I formulated and changed the management of Nairobi City County Water, the Nairobi Water and Sewer System. The new existing chief executive and their team came in. So there are a couple of things that we did within those 6 months. So we had some achievements, and I want to assure you that we'll accelerate them when we come to office, when you vote for us.
Kama seneta unakubaliana naye kwamba waliweka mikakati ya kuweza kukabili hawa cartels na kuweza kulinda rasilimali za kaunti ya Nairobi?
Kwanza nafikiri vile amesema vile alikuwa alianzisha na ikakamilika bila yeye. Inamaanisha Nairobi haikumuhitaji. Kwa sababu it's just demonstrated that even whether he was there or not, it happened. I think if you stayed true and didn't quit and run away when things got hot, maybe things would have been better for the people of Nairobi. We'd never know. And unfortunately, we'll never get to learn. Cartels are a lazy word. It's a word used by lazy leaders who fail to master the courage and the guts and the resilience to deal with corruption. That is what cartels are. Cartels are a weak excuse. Because all of these are human beings. If you say you know them, and even here, just at this debate, you're afraid to name them, yet you said you knew them, you will not deal with them. If you know them, name them.
Kwa hivyo huamini kama seneta kwamba kuna cartels katika kaunti ya Nairobi?
Sio cartels. Ni wanabiashara ambao, the first way not to be, to have cartels in Nairobi is to refuse to be part of that system. Lakini kama unaogopa hata wezi wasema, kesho wakikutisha utajiuzulu tena. You cannot have that in Nairobi. You just need to set systems that actually remove the place they are playing. Don't be afraid of cartels, Polycarp.
Whatever name you choose.
I will invite you on 10th of August when we are naming them.
The opposition is not allowed to name cartels.
You can also name them today, but whatever name you use to allude to them, how are you going to deal with those?
Listen, the first thing you must do in the city, as I've said, is to refuse to be part of them before you even get into office. I have run my campaign by myself. I have struggled. I have funded myself. I have evidence. In fact, unfortunately, I can table it over here, that even the first billboards paid for my opponent are by the cartels, are by other shadowy figures who are convincing him to get out of office, to run for it. Once you are captured by them before you start, once you're captured by the state, once you're captured by these shadowy figures before you even set foot, you will not do anything when you're elected governor. Number two, we must reduce the human interaction with cash in Nairobi. We must digitize service provision, that all the 130-something revenue streams must be allowed to be paid digitally wherever you are. What we're going to do is this in Nairobi. We'll change the governance structure. We're going to have 5 boroughs in this city: Nairobi North, East, West, South, and Central. Each of those boroughs, pursuant to the Urban Areas and Cities Act and the County Government Act, Section 14, will have a urban area board or a borough board. And that borough, there will be an assistant city manager who will report to my deputy governor, Mushiri Njoroge, who we have agreed is not going to quit. They will report to Mushiri Njoroge, and Njoroge Mushiri is going to be the chief city manager. Now, once you localize them to an area, that these few sub-counties, these are who will deal with garbage, these are who will deal with water, these are who will deal with education and all those issues, then you reduce the capacity of that corruption.
Bwana IGATHE, unakubali muda wako umekwisha, samahani seneta. Bwana IGATHE, unakubali kwamba mapendekezo anayotoa ndio yataweza kukabili wale ambao unawaona kama cartels katika kaunti ya Nairobi? Samahani, muda wako umekwisha seneta. Naomba muda wako umekwisha, tumpe nafasi aweze kujibu.
Mambo ya Nairobi ni mazito. Tafadhali baada ya zungumze utuongezee dakika. Shida za Nairobi hawezi taja na dakika moja. Kama mnataka watu wa Nairobi wasikie vizuri,
kwa heshima kubwa
tumsikize,
kisha utapewa muda zaidi. Utapewa muda.
Wao wanataka majibu.
Senator SAKAJA, with all due respect, you did come late, and in keeping time, there are rules that we announced at the beginning of this debate, and an answer to a question is 1.5 minutes, and you can see it clearly on the screen here. Rebuttal is 1 minute, and we did accommodate your lateness. So over to you, IGATHE.
Ukosefu wa nidhamu ni jambo la kawaida kwa watu ambao hawajamaliza shule. let me move to, this is what we want to do. This is what we want to do. We want to improve the society in Nairobi by ensuring we tackle the issue of hunger and depravity in the city, by tackling the issue of poor access to education in the city and poor quality access to healthcare. We want to fix the economy in Nairobi by ensuring decent jobs, proper mobility and transport. We are going to form what I'm calling the Nairobi Go portal. It's really e-government, making sure we have time and attendance for every employee. We make a fit-for-purpose government to serve. And lastly, to really fix the environment, kuimarisha mazingira yetu, maji na mambo hayo.
Your time is up on that, but there was something he brought up, and he said even he claims to be funding his own campaigns, and says you're under state capture and you have a right to respond to this. A minute for that in terms of those who are funding your campaign.
My campaign is funded by myself and my friends, and I would like him, because he has said so, to provide that evidence before the morning. That is a liar. Those are lies told by a lying liar.
I'll be glad to do that.
Please, you say you have some evidence to this effect.
Of course, we have receipts of billboards and of, different meetings of chiefs, meetings of DCCs, them being cajoled. You cannot force individuals, DCCs, assistant chiefs, and many of them, the represented here know. The meetings at St. George's Primary School, where they're being asked to support those candidates, we know all of that. It is obvious. But if you'd like me to table that, I'll be glad to table it before the country.
I will in equal measure table all the false documents Senator SAKAJA has cited to the Republic of Kenya and to constitutional institutions tomorrow morning on my Twitter.
All right, tomorrow morning there's a lot of news to look forward to, and do you agree? And
then you will know what we are facing. Because the contest on 9th of August is a simple contest. It's a contest in this country. It's a census, actually. It's not an election. How many Kenyans believe in competence, character, capability, honesty, unity moving forward? And how many believe in lies and all the other bad things we don't want and don't value as a society? That's the contest.
We've moved into the governorship domain of this conversation, and we just like to cover more issues here. And there was a mention of Nairobi Metropolitan Services, NMS. First of all, do you agree with it having been brought in as an intervention? And in your view, was it because of a failed leadership?
No, I celebrate the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, the NMS and General Badi and his team have done a wonderful job. And it was a creature of the law. We saw how it was formed, and because it's a creature of the law, it extinguishes naturally by law in November of this year. Look at what they have done. They have sunk 193 boreholes in the metropolitan area. 144 of those boreholes has been in our informal settlement. That has truly helped us fight COVID-19. The Metropolitan Authority has further worked on pedestrianizing the central business district.